This is an Elgin S-1145. This is a Japanese-made side-load zigzag class 15 machine. It's got a door for cams in it. This knob here is the selector. It's got M, a green, and then red specialty stitch or special stitches selection. So if it had any cams, you could put a cam in, pull the lever over, and have it do whatever pattern cam. On the front, it's got a display of the pattern cams that I assume are available, although as a Japanese machine, once you know the size of cams this is set up for, you can 3D print or make whatever, or find whatever compatible size any other manufacturer was making at the time, or other brands that were buying the same machine. So, but to thread this, it's got a fiddly thread path. There's 2 spool pins on the back, which is very nice. But the first spot, there is a guide with the tensioner button, and the bobbin winding tension button is hiding on the back of the machine here. And then it's got a double guide on the front here. There's 2 holes. When you're single needle sewing, you can pick whichever one you want. If you're double needle sewing, you need to run both threads through the back single guide and then separate them on the front guide here, and then around the tensioner. There's this spring arm and the finger, and then the thread comes up and goes through the take-up arm, and there's a guide here, and inside the door there's a guide the thread just pops behind, and it kind of does that automatically. And then there's the needle bar guide, and the needle bar guide on this one is bent really close toward the clamp, so I actually have to give it a little pop to get the thread to go through it. And then once you have the thread through the needle bar, or the needle bar slash clamp guide, this machine threads from the outside in. Just there. With a properly trimmed thread, it threads right up. This machine also has a double lift for the presser foot. So you can see it goes all the way down, and then it's got a half lift where the tensioner is still engaged, but the foot is lifted a little bit. And then there is a second stage lift, and that's when the tensioner releases so that you can thread it properly. So you got to make sure that you lift the presser foot all the way up. It's side load class 15, but the bobbin winder is a little different, so I will move the camera and wind a bobbin. Winding a bobbin on this Elgin, starting at the thread spool pin. You're going to loop the thread around under the front of the bobbin winding button here, and then it's got, the winder has this shifter on it. It's got a standard clutch nut, so loosen that for the wheel to turn, and then pop our winder in place. And there we are. Even though this button is in a weird spot, the thread still comes around and crosses over itself to get back up to the bobbin winding position. So